Hello and welcome to another video. Today I want to talk about what is the difference between someone who's like platinum or something and master, and also like review a game of Neace where he played his last game for Korean master tier, right? So unlike many people, I actually thought that he could do it this whole time. Like I thought that it's possible for him to reach like high diamond or master in Korea. That's very doable, but the issue that I found with it, and if you look at my previous videos that I made on him, like the issue that I spoke about is he kept playing random champs, he kept playing stuff he can't actually play, and so on, right? So that was a pretty big issue. He nailed his champ pool into just mostly playing Tryndamere, not playing jungle because he's not very good on jungle, and not tilting as much and stuff, and look, it completely changed. So this can segue into our idea about what is the actual difference between like a plat and a master player, right? Like it's not really mechanics, and it's not like well, you can just go brainless or pick whatever you want or whatever and just climb, right? It's not really the case. The reality of the situation is that a plat player can do that in bronze. He can just pick like a random champ, he can like mechanics check the enemy and he's gonna climb, right? But even if you take someone who is like who has the same LP difference as like a low plat player to high bronze, and that would probably be like a mid master player or something to like plat something, the mid master player won't actually be able to pick whatever he wants and then do whatever he wants and win, like with no brain and whatever. Like it just doesn't work. So that's quite different. So then we have something that's pretty chill, right? So okay, he's just playing the same as usual, right? Like it's not like he has to completely change everything now. He just has his champion, he has like some kind of a plan. So okay, cool. He's still mechanically misplaying like usual, right? Mechanics still not doing so well for him, but it doesn't really matter. Because you can see that there's already like a slight difference, because like I'm pretty sure when he fell to plat, what he would have done is, I don't know, try to dive Katarina or something like that. Who knows, man? Just some complete tilt play. Or like, I don't know, just go fight. Or here, my teammates didn't play it well enough. Okay, I just go in, I run in, die. You might think that's a joke, but when I watched him play before, that's literally how it felt. And that's also why, for many of you, I tell you that, like, if you're gold or plat or something, I don't really think that there should be too big of an issue with you reaching like high diamond or like master 0 LP or something. That's also why my Evelynn spreadsheet exists, because I think that anyone who's like gold or plat should be around the level mechanically where they should be able to reach a decent amount higher elo. But the issue that usually arises is that you either don't play a role well enough, you don't play a champ well enough, or whatever else, right? And these issues are obviously still decently sized, but these issues are not as bad as a bronze player's issue, because a bronze player is time gated. Like a bronze player cannot play in master tomorrow, because the problem for a bronze player is that mechanically he is just not going to be good enough. Like dodging, clicking, movement, everything, right? It's just not gonna work. But for a gold or plat player, sure, he might be a bit behind on them, but not too much. It's doable. So that is something to keep in mind. For example, I know of a guy who started OTPing Fiora, and then he went from being like, I don't know, low plat or something to being master in like 2 months or something. And I know of multiple people who used my Evelynn spreadsheet who went from being like gold, plat, whatever, to being master in a month or two, and so on, right? And Neace basically did the same thing now, right? Like he went from being plat to being master in probably the span of, I don't know, a month or two. And it doesn't really change with the fact that Neace has been a higher elo before, or that those other people have or haven't been higher elo before, because it's the same thing in the end. If you're 50% win rate plat, then it doesn't really matter, right? Because if someone just didn't play before to climb, and they played the same games as you played then they would also be 50% win rate plat. But for them, because they didn't climb before, you wouldn't say, but they actually climbed before. No, you would just say, well, they're plat stuck and now they climbed. That's also why elo matters so little. Elo is temporary, and the moment when you change your gameplay, your elo will start to reflect that, game by game. Like, your elo is a reflection of your mentality, your gameplay, how much you care, and so on. For example, the splash is complete grief that I just saw, but okay. That's something that he could fix, but that's just like an approach thing, right? And I'm a great example of that. Whenever I do care at all, I climb instantly. No problem, like any roll, doesn't matter. Whenever I don't care, I can play whatever I want. I can play like, I don't know, my best champ in the game. I will still just grief because don't care. If you don't care, you just won't be able to do well, right? Because this game does not care what elo you were before. This game does not care how good you are or what you know or how good you can play potentially. All this game cares about is, okay, how good are you playing in this specific game? Like, this game does not care that Neace like demoted to plat or that he kept losing games or whatever. It doesn't care. Like, what he's doing right now is good enough, so he's just doing fine. And because he's doing fine, he will end up having a okay impact on the game. And if he has an okay impact on many games, then he will climb. It's that simple. So okay, what we see here is the playstyle that he decided to start implementing, which is Tryndamere mid, perma push, perma roam. Pretty good idea for him, because he's not a mechanical player. He also is not too amazing at laning. He also makes some mistakes with targeting and stuff. So instead, he is abusing other stuff, right? So abuse how like kind of dumb playstyle Tryndamere allows you to play, and abuse how he knows where to go on the map, right? So he's not completely lost on the map. So push out the wave, get your last hits, and roam somewhere where you can be a positive influence in the game. There's also a way to play the game, right? Like, there are quite a few ways to play League, and no one can really tell you, yeah, this way is right, this way is wrong. I mean, people can try to tell you that, but at the end of the day, first of all, no one has completely solved this game. And second of all, who cares? Like, let's say you play the game wrong. Like, most people will agree that, I don't know, just playing Yuumi in support or playing Yuumi anywhere is wrong, right? Like, you're not supposed to play Yuumi. You're not supposed to play Yuumi to climb. You're not supposed to play Yuumi and climb. Whatever. Okay, well, would you rather be gold on Echo or challenger on Yuumi? That's like a question, right? I think if you get challenger on Yuumi, then, I mean, fine, man. Like, what's the issue? At the end of the day, you're challenge. I mean, what other people think might change a bit and what you think, but at the end of the day, the game does not care. It does not give a single fuck if you're Showmaker playing every champ in the game once and reaching challenger, or if you're some disgusting Yuumi OTP that sits there and does nothing the whole game and reach a challenger. I mean, if you reach that, you reach that, right? Does not care. And here we're having a pretty chill, play style, right? So roam around the map, collect resources. Pretty chill. So he's just following the same plan, right? So I've talked about this a few times on jungle, and the same thing applies to every role. Like, you just have a plan and you follow it, and then you adapt a little bit. So his plan was, okay, I'm going to play Tryndamere, I'm going to perma push, get prio, move around the map. Okay, cool. And then what's the adaptations? Well, if enemy fights me on my push, I'm going to adapt to that. If I need to move when I don't have push, I'll adapt to that, and so on, right? So, okay, cool. Moving around the map. And then, unlike before, he doesn't just tilt, force, go in, die for no reason. I'm not joking. That's what he would used to do before. That's why he was plat. Because he didn't care. Like, he was just mad, and he would just go in and die. And if you do that, then obviously the game will punish you. It doesn't matter if the reason that you do that is because you're mad, or if the reason that you do that is because you lack skill. It does not matter to the game. Obviously, to us, it's a bit different, because it's easier for you to fix your mentality and this to fix your lack of skill, but it can also not be. Depends on what you want and what you value. Right. This is a really interesting pick, though, so this is something that you can implement in your own games. And I played Tryndamere mid before a little bit, when it was like complete meta and everyone was playing it. And I can tell you that this pick is not very hard to pick up. Like, you just literally just do what he's doing. Like, you just like walk up to the wave, you try to push it, and you chill. I mean, some matchups can be a bit harder, and you have to understand a bit better how to trade your HP for push, or how to trade your HP to get some kind of a different advantage. But I think the Katarina matchup is pretty fine for you. Not too difficult. Alright, so pretty chill. We're not losing too much, right? So pretty good. This is a skill that you need to be good at, though, right? Like judging how much time you have, judging where you want to be, judging if you're gonna lose anything, if it's worth it to lose a wave, and so on. Right now, this game is not free by any means, because it's 6-8. So we also don't have a massive farm lead, so there's some work to be put in. Though we do have Xayah Rakan, kinda OP, so that is something that we have going for us. Okay, and then the enemy looks like they turned this, so they should get shutdowns maybe on our bot lane? No? Oh, they did. Okay, so now the game should be decently difficult for Neace, so time to work. Ah, look, still, he doesn't really dodge stuff, he's like mispositioning. Okay. It's not like the player completely changed, right? Like, many people, especially in like gold, plat, whatever, and this is why they also flame you every game, no matter what you do. Like, these people will think that to be higher elo, you have to be perfect, you have to do everything, you have to be able to win fights that are unwinnable and everything in between. And that's just simply not true, because if a fight is unwinnable, you can't win it unless you are not cheating. Cheating. And not everyone who's master, GM, or Chal has Gumayushi mechanics randomly. And even if you did have Gumayushi mechanics, if you play with tilt and brain damage, then you still won't climb. That's the funny thing. I mean, you will climb to like diamond, and then what? Maybe you'll climb to master. Maybe. But you surely won't climb any higher than that just by clicking. Probably won't even climb to that point, but still. So we're just chilling, right? And trying to do our best. You see, he's just not tilting, like, okay, his teammates died, even though it doesn't really make much sense. Okay, we just follow our plan. Push wave, hit tower, and so on. So we can see a massive improvement in the mental and game plan side of things. But there hasn't been so much of an improvement in terms of like fights or mechanics or outplays or solo kills or whatever else. That's the thing, you have to pick a champion that kind of suits you. Like, I mean, people will tell you to pick these champions that are just supposed to be good for everyone, but these champions that are recommended to everyone aren't necessarily good for everyone. Because the issue is that, so champions have playstyle ideas, kind of, right? So, for example, a champion like Malphite or something is considered to be one of the easier champs in the game, right? But the issue is that you still have a skill set you need, right? So you want to just chill and use Qs to poke. So if you get impatient and you decide to fight when your Q is down, or if it's not a matchup where you can win by just spamming Q, then it's kind of like, oh, okay. And then you still want to get your CS and stuff, and yet most people won't even end up getting the CS on Malphite. But okay, let's ignore that maybe. I mean, it's a fact that it's harder to CS on something like Malphite than Irelia, but okay, let's ignore that. Right. Okay, well, what else do we need? Okay, so we really need to make sure that we hit our ults, right? Because in other champs, I can get away with not doing that. On some of them, obviously, but I'll just have to do something else. But maybe that something else that I have to do is much easier for me. So I can give you an example, maybe Orianna or something, right? So on Orianna, I can play with my QWE spells, and I can just use my ult to zone, and use my ult to pressure, and then I can use my ult for damage or whatever else, right? But if I use my ult in the same way on Malphite, that's gonna be... But I can still play the same way as Malphite, right? So I can still use my ult to engage, I can use my ult to like put it on teammates and use it like as a supportive tool in a team fight or something. But you see, the nuance there is that one champion just has more options than the other one. And that doesn't mean that the champion is easier, that doesn't mean the champion is better or whatever. It just means that one champion has more options than the other one, which makes it so the champion is slightly harder, people would say, because you have more choices, right? But if you're someone who does well with more choices, then that champion is actually easier for you. So I'm an example of that. For me, champions that have some level of mechanics and choices and whatever are much easier than champions which don't. Because, for example, for me, carrying as something like Fiora is going to be much easier than carrying on something like Jax, even though you wouldn't really say that one of them is much stronger than another one. I mean, maybe you would, but I think that those champions are at least somewhat comparable, because both of them are pretty strong, but both of them have their own challenges, right? And both then can for sure carry a game if you're good on them. So the thing is though that on Fiora I can use my damage foresight, knowing how to play fights, knowing how to use the Fiora W and stuff. And on Jax, my skills has to be completely different. Okay, so now I want to be really good on my W reset. I want to be really good on... By the way, if you notice, Neace ulted like so early. He almost died. But yeah, I want to be really good on my usage of Q and like spacing and whatever. But on Fiora it doesn't really matter because her Q cooldown is so low that it doesn't matter as much how I use my Q, and it doesn't matter as much how I space, because it's much harder for the enemy to kite me. Obviously at the highest level she will run into that issue as well, but at lower levels of play she won't. So then you might ask yourself which champion is good for you, right? And that's gonna depend a bit. So firstly, for champions that you want to pick, it's gonna highly depend on what you enjoy, because if you don't enjoy a champ, I think it's a waste of time to play it anyway. Like if you have zero enjoyment playing that champ, it's kind of a waste of time, because you're either not gonna stick to the champ or you're not gonna enjoy it enough to actually try on it. You're not gonna want to improve on it, you're not gonna want to climb on it, you're not gonna want to keep playing it, you won't want to keep queuing and so on, and it's just pointless. Like, it's just really pointless. I don't really bother playing champs I don't enjoy at all, so even if I'm very good on that champ, I just either won't bother playing it or I'll just drop it when I completely enjoy it zero. Like an example of that is like Ari. Oh, it's fine. Like on Ari, I will win most of my games. I do really well on Ari, but I won't play it. That is just, I find it boring. I don't want to play it, so I just don't play it. It's that simple. Holy, that is not good. Well, yeah, as you can see, it's like the thing I talked about. It's still the same player. He still mistimes his ults. He uses them badly. He uses E badly. He messes up his auto attacks. He messes up mechanics. He messes up fights. Messes up whatever, right? But he can do well anyway. That's because the differences aren't exactly as colossal in those ways, and the differences in other ways are more important, right? This is why I keep talking about mentality in most of my videos, because mentality and approach is pretty much the most important thing you can think about. Mentality and approach, literally without anything else changing. Like, I am convinced that his mechanics, his game knowledge, nothing like that changed. It's literally just his mechanics and approach that changed. And instead of being plat, he's now master, like in Korea. So pretty interesting. Right. So what is he gonna do now? Yeah, cool. Chill. Yeah, I think I would say that on any role you want to play, you have like a few champs that are gonna have like different things that they can do. So for example, in jungle, you could play something like Neace in Italy, but I don't recommend that for anyone really, because that's like a bit overkill. But you have these champions like Jarvan or something, or Wukong, that just have like a lot of options and are really overtuned. Then you have these champions that are simpler, right? So like Vi or Nocturne or something like that. Then you have some champions that are kind of simple but kind of have options, so like Hecarim or something. Then you have these champions that are completely simplified, like Evelynn or something, that just you have to make the right play on them, right? Don't have the choice. I mean, you can try to flip it and hope that enemy runs into your stealth, but good luck playing like that. And these champions are going to have different skill sets, but they're also going to be better for different types of people. And some people are going to do well on enchanters, so like supporting your teammates. So here the skills would be something like tracking what your teammates do, tracking how they do, tracking what they need, how you can make the game easier for them, and so on. Does he really win this game? Doesn't maybe. I mean, if he can turn this fight, then he probably wins. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. Could win off this. His teammates should get dragon and try to do some stuff, and maybe they can do something. Either way, though, some people it's going to be like ADCs. So here the skill set would be something like positioning and timing your auto attack, seeing when you can keep DPSing. So this is like a DPSing type skill. Then for mages and stuff, it's like going to be different, right? It's going to be more of a bursty skill, controlling of terrain. For bruisers, it's going to be more of a fighting skill, so figuring out how to play a fight, figuring out how to like bait enemies, how to space them, how to, for example, you click into the enemy and it makes the enemy like click away from you or click into you or something, you know, and then you use that in a way, or you use vision and so on. And you can keep finding different teams, but these are like some of the big ones in League, and that can help you a lot on deciding how to pick your champion, right? So here I think he wins this game after this. I think he wins off this. Okay, so we see he played some Hecarim, some Fiora, and some Tryndamere, and he is mostly sticking to Tryndamere now. He played Fiora and lower elo, but his win rate was already kind of not the best on it, but his Tryndamere is doing well. But so if we look at the play specifically, because we didn't look at many plays this game, so how did he approach this when his teammates all died, right? Like before he would like blame them and like just grief and rage and whatever. But what he did here is actually trying to make the best of the situation, right? So what can I do? Okay, he pings his teammate. Okay, but look, like this. When I look at this, I don't think that this is a man that's completely broken and he's going to grief the game now because he had enough. I think, okay, well, he's not happy with what his teammates did, but he will do his best. He will just see what he can do. So, okay, enemies are alive, enemies have Baron. Okay, we need to do something, right? They will try to end. So the best thing we can do, deny wave, because without wave, they can't kill the towers. Good. Okay. And now, enemies are low, so if we can burst them, then regardless, even if our teammates don't do anything, they will at least get dragon. At least something. If we don't burst them, then we're kind of playing like no ghost later, and the enemies could get like back to full HP. We likely still get dragon though. But yeah, I don't know. And best case scenario for us here is that we kill them and we get the dragon and we get some other stuff, but you can argue that you think that this is not worth or that it is worth or whatever, but either way, I don't really mind it. The argument for saying that it's not worth is by using a reference to the future game state in this game. So you can argue that his teammates can get to dragon anyway. I mean, it's a bit debatable because Mordekaiser still has a bit of time to respawn. If Mordekaiser was respawning earlier, then it would be a bit easier to argue that. But okay, still you can try to, right? And you can say, okay, well, enemy's gonna have to base anyway, and if they don't base, then they're gonna have to like try to fight with two people with no HP. Though you can also say that the people with no HP, that's not really that much of an issue if they actually trap here when we don't have vision and they try to burst us. But at the same time, we would keep our Tryndamere ult, and there are ways to debate it, right? But he chose to do this, not a bad idea, and his teammates TP, and they actually capitalize on it even more. So this is like part of his play, and I don't think that he really planned for the Mordekaiser to TP or the enemy team to go here or anything like that. But it did happen, and it's good for his team. And this is just good, right? Like, you just read, okay, well, it's gonna be like fight now. And okay, I mean, I can keep pushing, but if I push, what do I achieve? I just take the tower, right? So, like, not exactly worth it. You can also argue that, well, what if my team can't like hold this until Baron or whatever, or if enemy got Baron here, or enemy like won the fight or something. I mean, they're gonna fight anyway. So you can argue this as you want, but either way, then he wins it. He could also lose it. Like, he could easily lose this game, and he would have to win the next one. But this is what I like. He just is trying to do his best now, and it's good to see. Like, maybe he's interested in the game a bit more again, or maybe he just wants to prove himself or something. I don't know. But either way, it's for sure a better mentality than before and healthier by a lot. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video or took something away from it that can help you, then that's good. You can like, subscribe, I guess, I don't know, or comment what you learned. And if not, then that's fine as well. Either way, I'll see you next time, and peace.